On today's episode of Reffing with the Sappers, we've got actually my first ever college game. So if you've watched any of our shorts that I've released in the last 3 or 4 months, I was actually in Arkansas for an extended period of time helping take care of a sick family member. While I was there, I worked several high school games, a few club games, but I also worked with one of the college assigners while there, and I guess I made an impression because he invited me out to work a scrimmage, men's college scrimmage at John Brown University in Salem Springs, Arkansas. And even though I'd never done college games before, he said we could use USSF rules, and he'd like to see a new referee out there so they're not seeing the same guys all the time. So I was very happy to do that, very excited to get out for it. And then I've got my buddy Les Miyashiro with us, who is going to help review this game. Les and I actually really met and started to get to know each other doing adult recreational games together. But Les has actually taught me a lot about refereeing. I've learned a lot from him. He's a former regional referee who also does college games, and I have learned a lot from him. So Les, give us a little bit of your background.
I've been reffing for 19 years now. Was a regional for 5 or 6 years. I've done semi-professional matches and had some great training with the top referees in the state, and just enjoy refereeing overall. Have done probably over 5,000 outdoor games.
It's impressive. And I know Les always gives me really good feedback that I'm able to take and adapt into my game. So really excited to have him both as a fan of the channel and interested to join us and take part of one of these reviews. This game gets off to a hot start. We are only 15 seconds into the match. Blue's taking the kickoff and now is bringing the ball up, and right there he just gets clipped on the ankle here by Yellow. Very easy, very straightforward first call. He even comes over. He feels a little bit bad about that, especially in a scrimmage. Pats him on, apologizes for it, and but they go back to play. On to minute 4, we've got our next decision of the match. Now, in the interim, Yellow has scored a goal, so they scored a goal just in like the second minute. And unfortunately, here for this decision, anything that kind of happens on the left side of the field, the camera was looking into the sun here, so it's going to be a little bit fuzzy here until the sun goes down in the match. But we're looking off over here in the left-hand corner. Yellow's got control of the ball, and then this blue player comes and really goes through his back here. Now, I will say in a regular game, that's the kind of thing I might consider a yellow, though maybe not at this level, but it definitely would put this on my radar. I did probably downgrade this a little bit in my mind given the scrimmage.
I wouldn't probably card him, but I would probably come at least pull him over and talk to him about that, because he's not even trying to play the ball there. He's just going through the guy's back.
Yeah, I think we'll see him show up again later in this match, and I probably gave him a little bit too much rope in a scrimmage. I come in here, kind of check and make sure everybody's okay, but I don't really give the discussion with him that I should have. Into minute 6, we've got Yellow bringing the ball up here on a through ball, and then this blue player comes in, and again, not really playing the ball, but kind of pushes this player right in the back. Very simple foul, very straightforward, easy to call. I've got a good, credible position on that.
So Scott, did you come over and talk to this player?
No, I think in this one, no, I didn't. I just call the foul. I kind of go over. I'm trying to read their body language and see what, there's a little bit of pushing there. I tell them to give him some space, but I didn't actually, give him a verbal warning or anything in that situation.
Yeah. So in something like that, you had 2 fouls that were not playing the ball. Just talk to the players, this is only a scrimmage. You want to keep the players safe. You don't want any tempers flaring or anything like that, so just make sure that they know you're there.
Still in the 6th minute, almost directly off of that free kick. Yellow's bringing the ball up on the right-hand side. This player makes the pass through. He's got a player who could possibly get to it and get the cross, but if we go back right here, right after he makes this pass, this player kind of goes through the back of his thigh, trips him as he goes down. I do wait a couple of seconds here and just see if that player is going to get there and be able to make a cross into his player there who's in the penalty area for a good shot on goal. But that advantage doesn't materialize, so I end up calling it back out there to just the top of the 18 and give him the free kick from there.
3 to 4 seconds, but yeah, that's fine. He had someone coming in. He could have maybe got a potential cross in for a score or a potential shot on goal. Didn't materialize, so you bring it right back.
Yep. Following that free kick, there ended up being a goal kick restart, and there was a break in play here. And you'll notice here that I come over and I talk to this number 9 for blue. We're looking off on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm talking to him. I was waiting for a break in play. He was obviously one of the blue team's playmakers, and I wanted to ask him about a play that happened about a minute before. We're looking on the right-hand side of the screen. Yellow is going to bring the ball up. Blue is trying to fight for it here. We'll see that yellow pulls on his jersey. Now, I saw that, and I really thought about calling it, but I watched his body language, and he was not looking for a call there at all. And so while in a lower level game, in a normal youth game, I would have called that every day of the week and twice on Sunday, I was kind of trying to find the balance of, at this level, what's the right call to make? He wasn't looking for a call, so I decided to let that go. But I did later, next stoppage that I had where I could go and talk to him, I went and asked him, are you okay with this level of contact? Or do you want me to be calling that? Just know that if that happens going the other way, if you tell me you want it called, I'm going to call it both ways. And he said, no, that's perfectly fine. That's just soccer.
So at this level, I believe that's the norm for college level. And they want to show off their skills, so they want to be able to play through things. And if they complain about things all the time, they're not going to want a larger school, maybe Division I, Division II school, may not want to pick up this player. So they just want to be able to showcase their skills. So I believe that if there's no disadvantage taken away from the player, just let them play.
Only about a minute later, we've got blue on an attack here, and we've got an offside decision, and so he crosses the ball in. My assistant referee pops up the flag for an offside there, and if we come back and get to our moment of decision, which is right there, is the moment he makes contact, we can kind of see this blue player and yellow, I guess second to last defender, standing right here on the top of the penalty area. Blue is right there on it. Obviously, this angle, we can't really tell for sure, but it certainly looks like he's leaning forward, and no reason to doubt my assistant referee there. So I think he got the offside right. Into the 9th minute, we've got what ends up being a fairly hard foul here. Right here, this yellow's on the attack here. Number 21 for white comes in and really gives him the business. I called this foul, but I did not give a card here. Now, in a regular game, a normal youth game that I do, or even the adult rec league, this would be a card for me every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I did not give a card here because I was still in that mindset of, hey, I'm just in a scrimmage. It's a friendly game. I don't really need to be pulling out cards. But I think that's a mistake. Like in watching this here on camera, I'm even more shocked with myself that I didn't give a card here. So I think this is a deduction. I do come over and I kind of talk to this player, calm down, it's a scrimmage, but I think I should have handled this differently.
I see that same player that fouled earlier through the back, comes through again one more time. Definitely a card to show him that you are there and you are going to handle this and protect the players. So in my games, I usually start counting fouls with players, and 2 hard fouls like that, definitely a card.
I will say I'm trying to get better at counting fouls. It is not my strong suit, and every year I try to work on a few key areas of improvement, but counting fouls is something that is on my radar of currently a work in progress for me, and I hope I do better at it because I didn't do a great job in this game. We played on for about 5 minutes into minute 14 before we've got our next decision, and here yellow is trying to shield the ball as it's coming over and his teammate's about to get it, and in the process he's got his arms out a little bit, and as he's doing that you can see he kind of whacks this number 10 blue right in the right in the schnoz there. So I don't believe there was anything intentional there, but he definitely had his arms out in a way that made that worse than it had to be. So I called the foul right away. You notice that here he's like, what? I didn't even do anything. I'm like, dude, you got him right in the nose. And then once he looks over, he sees that the guy's actually kind of hurt. So he comes over, he apologizes to him a little bit. I talked to him on the way back, like, hey, dude, you got to keep your arms down. Like, that's going to get somebody hurt. And we don't want that in the scrimmage. Into minute 17, we've got one that's on the far side of the field. Unfortunately, in the area, our camera doesn't get it super well, but yellow's on this attack here. We see blue come through, do a slide. The ball gets kicked forward. From my angle on the field, what I saw was that blue did slide for it, but he got the ball, and then yellow then initiated the contact over his, his leg that's then extended. So at that point, yellow then initiating the contact. I do make eye contact with my assistant referee to see if he's got anything. Both of the yellow players there are asking for a foul, but looking at my assistant referee and myself, I've got a credible angle on it. My assistant referee would have had a really good angle on it, and he doesn't call anything either.
The camera angle can't tell right there, but if he gets to the ball and the player goes over him, that's a fair challenge.
Only about a minute later, we've got yellow on an attack here. We're looking here on the left-hand side of the screen, and again, we've got that same player who probably should have given a yellow card to earlier, and he comes in, he pushes another player there in the back. So, again, this was one of those, I'm in the middle of a scrimmage, I'm not really calling it the way I might, another game, because I might even consider a yellow card here, definitely a talking to, but, the player clearly wants to go fast, puts the ball down, he even tries to, 21 or 27 there, tries to stop the fast go, but they get it, goes ahead and gets his cross in. Yeah, I think the foul there is correct. You could argue here, like, since I didn't give the card earlier, this could very easily be a persistent infringement call here in a regular game. I guess, Les, what are you thinking here?
Yes, definitely. This is that person's third foul. He pushes him back. It looks like he pushes him a couple times, actually, in the back. And then tries to put his foot in front of the ball on a free kick, on a quick kick.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to have to take another deduction on this one because I just was letting too much go. But I was in that mindset of just, hey, it's a scrimmage, hey, talk my way through it. But looking at it here on video, I should have managed that a little bit differently. Only about a minute later, again, yellow on an attack here. They kind of dominated the first half, and they're kind of going right here at the top of the penalty area. And we see as this ball gets passed through, this player comes through and it just pushes him in the back. It's not the same player that did this, had the other pushes before, but very easy call to make. Give them the direct free kick from right. It was just outside of the penalty area at the top of the 18. Ended up being an important match decision because they actually score off of that free kick and take this game to 2-0. But I don't think a yellow card's appropriate there, especially since it's not the same player that we've seen before.
Yeah, maybe he sees the other guy got away with it, so he might as well try it too.
On to minute 23, we've got kind of an interesting one here. So the ball is coming, it's been hit really high in the air. It's coming down to these two players who are going to challenge for it. And we'll see that blue kind of pushes yellow here in the back. So I see that push, and you notice if you watch my body language, I immediately start to put the whistle to my mouth, and I'm going to call a foul there. But then I look out ahead, and when I look off to further up, I see, oh, that ball actually, even though it went off of blue's head, it dropped right at this yellow player's feet who's on a full sprint, and he's kind of got like one guy to beat because he's past these two. 27 here is way out of position, and if he cuts that to the left, he's 1-on-2 into the goal. So I end up not calling the foul, but only because of an advantage situation. And I do get myself, because I'm waiting to see, I get myself way out of position here because I see the foul, I'm about to call it, I'm just walking because I'm expecting the foul, and then I look ahead and then I'm like, oh, shoot. And then I'm trying to sprint to catch up to what's going on down there.
So normally, since it's in the hot spot right in front of the bench, you want to call that right away. Otherwise, people are going to complain. But you were right there, going to call it, and all of a sudden it dropped down to yellow's feet. So they had the opportunity right there. It would have been a goal.
Into minute 27, we've got yellow again on an attack going towards the penalty area. We see this number 16 blue come in and kind of trip or push right there from behind. You call that right outside of the penalty area. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. About a minute later, we've got one that Les and I here can't decide on. So we're on the far side of the field, and we see there's this challenge for the ball, and then the yellow player kind of stumbles a little bit and then ends up making contact with this blue player who just played the ball there. I ended up actually calling a charge here against yellow. So I gave blue the direct free kick here. It did factor into my decision that, one, this is directly in front of the technical area for blue, and two, a lot of the calls had kind of gone the other way and it's kind of middle of the field. So I'm thinking about foul count and that kind of stuff. But here, just looking at them, I kind of felt like yellow was trying to avoid, running into blue's leg there. There's some contact, but then he loses control of his body and then just slams into this blue player. So I felt justified in calling a charge here against yellow.
I think I see blue initiating the contact and knocking yellow into his own player. Even though 15 right there is asking for the foul and stuff like that, maybe he doesn't see that his own player is the one that made contact with yellow and made him off balance. I would call it against blue for the shove off the ball.
So I think in watching the video, I'm not as convinced. I kind of feel like the charge against yellow is maybe the correct call in this match at the moment. But let us know in the comments. Obviously, Les and I can't quite agree here, so we're going to take a half-point deduction for this one. But let us know in the comments. What do you think here? Is this a foul against yellow, a foul against blue, or would you just let this play because maybe they fouled each other? Only about a minute later, we've got a pull that is a little bit difficult to see from this camera angle, but I call it right away. And if we kind of slow this down here, what we're going to see is right here, yellow's about to get this ball, and then right there, this blue player is pulling his shirt and actually pulls him off of it. So he loses a whole step there. So he definitely lost an advantage. And I know we had one earlier where there was a hard shirt pull. What I felt was different about this one was just straight up he lost the ball because of that pull rather than it just being jogging.
Yeah, it looks like he even almost lifted him back so his feet came off the ground there.
Into minute 32, we've got yellow and blue kind of battling for a ball here. Yellow wins it. This number 21 for blue clearly realizes that he's beat there and does a cynical foul there, grabs him by both shoulders, maybe by the collarbone, pulls him back. Now, I call that foul right away. And I will say, on the field, I 100% was in the mindset of, if this was a regular game, not a scrimmage, I would give a yellow card there. So I would, every day of the week and twice on Sunday in a regularly sanctioned game, I would be giving a yellow card there. I did not here because, again, I was thinking, it's just a scrimmage, why bother? They're just out here to have fun. Plus, none of the yellow players are turning around and calling for, why isn't there a card? Why isn't there a card? So I'm just kind of trying to read the room and officiate it the way that they, I judge that they want it to be officiated. But, we'll see later in this game. This game continues to escalate. This is one of those that can feel like could escalate on you, and I think is a mistake that I didn't card.
Grabbing him by the shoulders like that in a regular game can escalate to yellow maybe swing his elbow back and maybe mass confrontation, something else going on. So good call there, and just maybe make sure, like you said, talk to these players, make sure they realize this is a scrimmage, and if not, the cards.
On to the 34th minute, we've got yellow again on an attack, and right here 27 again kind of comes in, gives him a little bit. Yellow throws himself on the ground. Now, I did feel on the field that while he was fouled, that yellow was selling this a little bit and just in how he falls. And we'll notice here that as they get back up, I come over, I call it. They start to argue. This is when they actually start to say, hey, look, it's the same guy over and over again. It's the same guy. Can you please watch it? And I say, look, yeah, I saw. But I think I don't have the audio, but I think what I told him here is like, look, yes, he did foul you, but you also oversold that a little bit, right? So don't sell it quite so much. Let me call the game, and we'll get back to it. But I guess, what do you think, Les? Would you give a card in this one, or you think it's...
Well, this It's a little embellishment from Yellow, maybe practicing for MLS something. But yeah, definitely 27 is got multiple fouls on him. So I would definitely either if he hadn't had a card by now, he would definitely have a card. I think overall wise too, you wouldn't have as many decisions if those players were carded earlier, because then they would be playing a little smarter. You know.
That could be, yeah. On to minute 37, we've got a really straightforward trip that happens right in front of Blue's technical area. And unfortunately, the camera kind of pans here, but then right there, Blue's trying to play it back, and then he just gets his legs swept a little bit. Only a few seconds later, where the ball's been flipped over to this side of the field, Blue's got possession of it when Yellow really picks his pocket here, and then 27 kind of trips him there. And I was going to call this as a trip foul, but then he gets this pass through, and then they get this really good shot on goal. So if we go back here a little bit, we'll actually see right here about the time that he gets his pocket picked, I'm going to call the foul. I wait and see what happens. I see the cross and go ahead and give them the advantage. So, and I think that's definitely the correct call with the advantage. But again, that's number 27 that is committing another foul. So these things are starting to add up in my mind. And I am kind of at this point in the game starting to wake up to the idea that I'm in a different game than I thought I was in. That I was in this scrimmage, and maybe I should start calling this a little bit tighter here. So it takes me a little bit of time to process that, unfortunately. But I do kind of around this point in the game start to run it through my mind that I need to begin adjusting how I'm calling the game.
Yes, at least you realize that. Yeah, I've seen games where it gets totally out of hand because the referee might be oblivious to what's going on around him and not noticing that these players are the same players that are making these fouls.
Right. Better late than never, right?
Yeah, at least no mass confrontations.
That's right. Minute 39, we've got a very straightforward one here. Blue is on an attack. We see them send a through ball forward and end up calling an offside here. If we go back to our moment of decision, which is right there, we can see this is our second to last defender here. Blue over here is just a step ahead. Really hard to see with this camera angle, but my assistant referee was on a credible angle, and I think I don't have the yellow line that I add. I add that when I do the editing, so we'll see when I get to the editing point and if I regret this, but I don't see any reason to think that's an incorrect call. A couple minutes later, again, Yellow attacking, and we see right here, Yellow's got the ball, and he kind of trips over, Blue sticks out his leg here.
Yeah, didn't try to play the ball, stuck his foot out, so impeding the player's progress towards that ball, and contact made, so it's a foul.
Into minute 43, we've got Blue kind of recovering a ball that's gone long here, and this number 27 is trying to kind of send it back either to his keeper. Yellow comes through, really challenges for that ball hard, comes through his legs. You can see some bowing up there. Honestly, I think this one is Yellow getting a little bit frustrated with how hard 27's been fouling, and he's trying to mete out a little bit of justice, probably as a reaction to the fact that I haven't given cards. So part of me wonders, does this foul even happen if I had given the cards earlier? But this is another kind of notch in the post of where I'm really waking up to this. I'm in a different game than I thought I was in. And I think it was actually this one that sealed it in my mind for I need to start calling this game differently. It was after this one and me processing what I saw happen here with the bowing up between each other. I'm like, okay, he's starting to mete out justice because he thinks I'm not doing it for him, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of after this, I decided at halftime I'm going to adjust the way I'm going to officiate this game. I don't give a card here. I don't know if this is card worthy. You could potentially argue it for game control, but given that I had not carded 27 earlier, it's hard to give the first one here to Yellow, I think.
Yeah, I think Yellow 7 there is probably thinking that 27's got so many hard fouls on his teammates that he's going to give a little bit back here. So, yeah, I think that if you need to start buckling down on these, so so it doesn't get out of hand.
Minute 44, we've got a pretty easy one here. It's down the far corner, about as far away from the camera as you can get. Blue and yellow are kind of battling here. Blue's shielding the ball, and he just, they're fighting, and then yellow just kind of goes through his back there. So my assistant referee helps me out there as well, but I was calling it as well. Really straightforward. So that ended up being the final call of the first half. And after I blow it dead here, players are coming off the field. I don't want to highlight that. I can't remember the number of this captain. It's hard for me to read on the screen here, but he actually comes up to me and he talks to me as we're coming off. And he's saying, hey, look, a couple of their players have fouled us a bunch of times. And, we're starting to get a little bit worried in the match. And I actually told him, I said, look, I've been calling this like it was a scrimmage. And there was definitely at least 2 situations in this first half that I would have given yellow cards to if it had been a regular game. And I actually told him here, I said, look, I think I made a mistake by not carding those, and I'm going to clamp down on this game in the second half. So I was kind of both acknowledging what, he was coming to me saying, hey, can you please lock it down a little bit more? Mm-hmm. And I was telling him, yeah, I plan to. I think you've got a point. I'm going to make adjustments. Please also control your team, because I see your team starting to meet out a little adjustments. Just so you know, I'm recognizing that I need to do things a little bit differently here. If I end up jumping forward to when they retake the field before the start of the second half, I actually have a very similar conversation with the blue team captain. So I call the blue team captain over here. I explained to him, like, look, there was a lot of physicality in that half. I was expecting a scrimmage where it would be friendly. Look, I'm going to start locking this down. There was cards I should have given the first half and didn't, so don't be surprised if I give cards here.
Did you talk to them before the match about how you wanted the game called?
That's a good question, because I'm sitting here thinking, with it being a scrimmage, like I called it a certain way being a scrimmage. And no, I didn't talk to him before. And it was really this kind of halftime discussion when I...
Okay. So what I do when I do a scrimmage between a couple teams that have not played before is ask the coaches, how would you like this called? Sometimes the coaches would say, if they're on a yellow card or they're going to get a yellow card, just talk to me, I'll pull them off the field, because they don't want to have any issues with these players. And the college especially, they're looking for a spot on the team. So if you have a hothead that's really fouling a lot of times they'd rather not play that person. Give them some discipline, say, hey, you need to calm down before you put you back on the field, because you're a detriment to our team if they get a yellow card or a second yellow card. A lot of leagues for college, they have accumulation for yellow cards. So they're suspended after so many cards. So maybe talk to the players and talk to the coaches especially to find out how they want the game called. If they say call it like a regular game and give yellows and reds just like you would, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, sometimes they'll just say, let me know, we'll pull the players off the field.
I think that's really good advice, especially since, given the way this played out, if I could have adjusted, and maybe what we've taken as deductions wouldn't have been deductions. They said, no, just don't bother with cards. But I've not done that before, but I think I'm going to have to start doing that on scrimmages.
Yes. Maybe the other thing too is we wouldn't have as many decisions because the players would be sitting that would have a lot of those fouls and retaliation fouls and things like that.
As I was working on editing this video and realizing I had really great discussion with Les, and this was a game with a lot of decisions in it, the entire video ended up being too long for kind of one episode, so I'm splitting it into 2, stopping here at the end of the first half. Obviously in this first half, I've let too much go, and the game started to get heated, and we make some big adjustments in the second half. So come back for the next episode to see how this game plays out, because it is kind of the tale of 2 halves.